Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Breaking Bread. Hold 1 minute, let me just adjust the camera here a little bit. All right. We thank God this morning that we were able to sit and we're able to talk candidly about something that is dealing, the clock is ticking, and Minneapolis on high alert. I read this morning, U.S. Today, that they brought the National Guardian. And yesterday, Congresswoman Maxine Waters made a statement that was similar to Donald Trump's statement when he said, "Proud Boys, stand back and stand by." Congresswoman Maxine Waters from California said that she didn't think the protesters were firm. The judge took that and ran with it as to say that that would impede into the jury's not being able to make what's called a solid decision. Now, yesterday, Reverend Wallace, they were saying that the prosecutor was asking for an acquittal or mistrial. What do you say about that?
Well, what really caught me by surprise is that the judge would take his time out in instruction and throw that in there with Maxine Waters. I believe we have a right and a constitutional right to express what we say.
Right.
It may have not been what we want to hear, but it's the norm, it's the reality of what's out there. These things going to happen regardless of Maxine Waters said or not. But what has played into the media domain is that they want to reflect from all of the other stuff, the factual basis of what the case is about, based upon the comment. They're looking for an exit.
Right.
And they're using this as a means of saying, well, now we have the tools. So automatically, before even the revelation comes, here Maxine Water is being used as an exit for them to say, well, that's why we need.
And I wish we could have had an attorney on this morning. I tried to contact some attorneys and judges this morning; they wasn't available. That's judicial misconduct for a judge to look outside when he should be instructing the jury on judicial. You know what I'm saying?
From accordingly what is presented in the case. Not based upon somebody's perception of what they think. That was her right to say what she felt as a citizen. She had the right.
Most judges.
I wouldn't even had that in the deliberation of instructing the jury. So it lets me know, and I felt bad because I thought the judge had been doing a great job. But when I saw
he did too. I did too.
That gave me some belief that he is sort of open to the suggestion that he could find this man innocent, and he throws something out, a life jacket to this man. I mean,
in the preaching world, we'll call that eisegesis.
Well, you know what I'm saying? And he just gave him a life jacket. And here this guy sitting there, hard-hearted, no remorse. I never seen a tear in his eye.
Right.
Even hearing the story.
Right.
I mean, he sat there just as cold. With a demeanor, writing whatever he's writing. They might be playing tic-tac-toe. We don't know what he's doing on there.
Right.
But he's shown no emotion of remorse or anything of that nature. Never even indicated in his, in any kind of way of saying expression that, sorry that this is the way it came. But I think the case been presented to the American people, and we at the crossroad, we have the Bloody Sunday, and this is the Edmund Pettit Bridge we had again. This is another confront a situation where we have to, we don't merit. The problem with our black folks, we sit on our lawns all day, we think everything is all supposed to do. But this is the reality is, we do not get our rights free.
Right.
Our liberties can be taken at any time, and this is an example of that. And I pray God that God will touch the hearts of the people there. And whatever way this thing falls, we still gonna be black at the end of the day. We're still gonna be confronted. But this is what the initiative about is bringing about people together to force. Voting power is what changed these things. Legislative power.
Amen. To reboot, this is Breaking Bread with Bishop Sutton and Reverend Aubrey Wallace. We are talking today about the Derek Chauvin trial. This is the first time in American history where a person has been murdered by police and that person is on trial. We know that community policing has been a target. Gun regulations is now again up before Congress. The president has been urged to act quickly on such things such as gun violence, gun security, so on and so forth. But the uniqueness about Derek Chauvin is that They had argued that because he had prior drug history, methamphetamine and what have you, they had brought experts in, surgical experts, respiratory therapists, people, and everybody came to the same conclusion. It wouldn't matter if he had 50 pills in his system. He could not breathe because of mounted pressure from an entire human being on him. Exactly.
Oxygen, carbon dioxide built in his body. I mean, it's just
the EMS came in and said, "Listen,
he had a horrifying, suffocating death.
Right.
For 9 minutes, he suffered tremendously before he died. And you can look at the meaning of this man with his neck. I mean, he's got his hand in his pocket. I mean, that's to say, like he's holding down a piece of board or something. Yeah. I mean, he had no heart for the individual.
You know, we see that here in Louisiana when those guys go out there and bow the cheddar and get them alligators. You know, and they wrestle the alligators down, which call them, the sportsmen. Right. They take pictures like, look at what I got, this, that, and the thing. This is a human being, and even other police officers, lawful officials testified. They showed body cam footage where George Floyd was on the ground, sitting on the ground, handcuffed. He was in custody of the Minneapolis police right now.
Never use a taser. I mean, they would use tasers. I've seen them arrest people, and you see it sometimes they get them on the ground, they tase them while it's on the ground. I never seen a taser used every time. And now we confronted with another situation.
Well, before we go there, what do you think? What do you think the verdict will be? Because that's what everybody's waiting on. What do you think?
I think there's a sentence that's guideline. The minimum is 12 to 5. I think they will come back in some negligent way and bring him to. I don't know if they're going to charge him with murder or whatever, but I think there will be some type of verdict against him for that. That's a degree why there to be a verdict. I don't think they're going to reach the
right. Well, you know, for a while we were thinking that they were going to get off, but when you have the other police officer just one county away, Brooklyn, Minneapolis, or Minnesota, you know, and she says she's going for a tasing gun and shoot this guy. Right. So that's another thing that's going to weigh in.
Right. Bishop, just retract. I've never been impressed with anything what the media say because and what the jury says until the verdict comes in. Rodney King was a prime example. If you can see what you see with Rodney King, you can see Croon and all these guys getting off with it. So it wouldn't amaze me if he got off with this. I mean,
right. I
think federal intervention needs to be brought about with more scrutiny law, but you can't get that with the type of sentence he got over there.
Right.
But this is the thing. With this other incident, with the Taser incident, 26-year veteran, how do you not know the difference between a gun? I mean, if you're right-handed, you got your gun on the right hand. If you're left-handed, you got it. So you know exactly what the tools of your profession at when you need it.
Exactly.
So there's no reason you could tell me you could hold that gun in your hand for 5 or 3 seconds and not know it's a gun. It's unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right. And you know, when you look at that they're saying that the experts are saying, legal experts are saying that incident, along with the rioters and all that's going on, will play a part. So I think, you know, and this is just me rationalizing, that they're going to come back with something. It's not what we want.
It never is what you want.
Yeah, there's going to be something, but it's not going to be what you want. But when you look at that, you know, the Derek, Mr. Chauvin, the late George Floyd, this other incident, and you look at these shootings all around the country now. Young men just being shot by police officers innocently.
Right.
When you look at that and the undertaking that has to go in, is it a gun problem? Is it a race problem? Is it a legislature problem? Is it a black problem? That's what we want to talk about today. One
thing is a sin problem. Secondly, it's a mental problem. Folks don't know how to disagree disagreeably. The result of these things. I mean, you know, as old cowboy buck, when the bad guys come to town, the sheriff would always stop them and put the guns in the office. They go tear the town up, but they can't use their gun.
Right.
The thing is that we want to use gun, and I support the fact that as a constitutional right, I want to bear arms.
Right.
I need to bear arms.
Right.
We need to have these officers with the equipment that they need. I'm not a person that would ask the community to sell their gun, especially the black community.
Right.
No, because the people that come to your community to buy your guns is not going to go out there and meddle it.
Right.
Not going to go out there in Mississippi and ask these folks to sell their guns.
Right.
Crime Stoppers or any other stopper is not going, any other organization is not going to go anywhere but the black community to disarm us.
Right.
And I'm against that.
Right.
So I believe you have the right to have your gun, because if you started bridging my right to bear arms, what else come behind that? My freedom of speech, these liberties will be taken from you slowly.
Right.
So I'm against that. I support that 100%. I understand the assault rifles, but the Democrat problem is they move on taking the guns. But what happened after you take the gun? What type of infrastructure do you have set up that people could be safe?
Right.
I mean, I ain't got no guns in my neighborhood. Now the criminal, he's running out there, he's in nobody's law.
Right.
He's doing what he's got to do.
Right.
I mean, it ain't the gun, now it's a knife, it's a sword.
Right.
We choose our choices, what we want to use. It's just fortunate the gun is more accessible avenue to use when you want to harm people, and it's more used. But if you burn it up with gas, it doesn't make a difference if you kill them.
Right.
You know, it's still a weapon.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, let's stop stuff with all that. The
Right.
Democrats need to get off that stage and put some emphasis on mental treatment for people. Government, all regulation is too extraneous as it is.
Right.
I mean, I don't need the government to tell me every day what I need to do.
Right.
I need to have these people that I put in office come up with the right solution for the problem. That's why we send them the Baton Rouge and Washington, D.C. and all these other. Don't.
Right. So, I mean, getting rid of the guns, like you say, on the broad perspective like that doesn't solve anything, just creates more problems. But then again, when you look at, it's only the black young men that are being targeted, you know, and then we got to talk about this, because whether it's a home problem or whatever, it's not the young thugs. It's the educated young men. It's a mixture. It's black men.
It's race. The baseline is race and its perception. Carroll's assassination, what most white folks had. And see, the problem is that we understand that when we leave this Louisiana, we think we left all the racist stuff. Find out we go to North, it's just as simple as is that the problem with us is that we go all the way around the world trying to be accepted by somebody that don't want to accept us.
Exactly.
And the worst thing you could have is a person that allowed this perception. And Donald Trump evolved the dope. He brought it out off behind the curtain from what's and when you see how bluntly Donald Trump could say, "What the hell you got to lose?"
Right.
I mean, he meant what he said. He talked about women in such ways that demeaning, and he let blacks know, you can be around me, but you still less than me.
Right.
And the problem is we always got some educated Negro that get up there and think he's going to be accepted. He's intelligent. But look how they treated Obama. Not because he was an uneducated, smartest president we ever had. Right. But because he was black.
He was black.
He got, and there was some of the brothers that white brothers that I hate to say it, they will stand silent. And as long as they stand silent and don't address it, it's gonna always be the norms.
Right, right. And then, you know, and that's why, you know, it goes back. I was telling you a while ago, we were talking, and B.B. King, the late B.B. King, was saying to Isaac Hayes in his last interview that when he was coming up, he see black entertainers on stage dancing with white entertainers. He see, you know, but when they started, it was very clear to them, you don't play with whites, you don't whistle at white women. You know, he remembered the Emmett Till situation very
encourage they improve.
Right. And you know, to hear people like that came from an environment where dealing with white was a no-no, and then now you have half of your band is white, half of your staff is white, half of the people that made B.B. King who he was white people. You know, and he was saying how, you know, Isaac Hayes, and he said, he said, well, I never saw color. He said, I treat everybody the same. He said, but I know I grew up in a world where that was not so. And I think what needs to happen in our day, and I see it here in the city, black men come from all over the world, especially after Katrina. They came here, mixed race couple, right? All around here, even down the street here is a mixed race couple. And they feel as though that it is acceptable. But no matter who you date or who you marry, you have to understand that at the end of the day, you are a black person.
Culture.
Yeah.
Your culture is totally different than that.
Exactly.
And the ancestral line, they are, you know, as simple as what they wanted to do in England.
Right.
They made the understanding that they had to take deep, in-depth look at this thing to see what this black lady coming into the family,
Right.
how that would affect the line.
Right.
And what would it mean futurely for them? Could it possibly be a dominance of this black person blood in the genes now, that it could continuously escalate, and this possibly could be futurely we have blacks in the royal family, then before you know they have another black, but see, race is always the baseline for anything. And if you go in the bank, you go in the store, I mean, it is the way it is.
We still pay here in America a different price for white meat than dark meat.
Well, we do it to ourselves. We got black stores that charge you more than white stores.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a how you, the thing about it is, brother, if you don't have a perception of yourself and feel good about yourself, if you're not happy being in this skin, then something wrong with you. Because I can't make you feel good about it if you don't feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
And if you ain't got a good view of who you are and accepting who you are, then no matter what I try to do for you, you still don't feel that. Because you have that demean, that inferior attitude that you're not going to be anything but what people stereotype you to be, a statistically say.
Right.
So that's a perception a lot.
So race plays a part. You were talking about President Trump, and Donald Trump said everything. He said whatever, he said all kinds of things. Thank God that he ain't on Twitter. But for a judge, sitting judge, to be that petty, to insert something that someone else said, I'm not saying that Maxine is wrong. I'm not saying she's right. She's a citizen too, and before she's a congresswoman too. Yeah,
and she stands on the Constitution.
Yes, she does.
And she expressed just what she had in her heart.
Right.
And she did not convey it in a way that people would think it was just done in mean spirit. She conveyed the truth.
Correct.
She's experienced this.
Right.
Since Wallace.
Right.
So she knows she's Rodney King. This lady has been around long enough to know that she's seen this over and over and over being perpetuated by people that say they're going to help you, then go behind closed doors.
Right. So, for someone like her to say that, and a judge who knows the Constitution, knows the Constitution.
What's relevant? Why would he bring it into
bring that into that?
He gave them just what they were looking for.
Exactly.
A harem, he gave them a needle and a stack of hay.
Right. And he should be looked at judicially and accurate.
I think you reached too far with that.
Yeah. He should be looked at judicially and accurate. But go ahead.
But this is what I want. Who would bring that to his attention to make that a fact in the trial? I don't understand that. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, any real legal expert would know that has nothing to do with that.
Why would that be a fact?
Right. That's why most judges, when they have high profile cases like that, they don't allow the media to come in. Right. This trial, and I think it was an option in the beginning when it happened, was they were going to allow the media, and then it wasn't. Yeah. So the media was allowed in there, but still you have to have, because people have been tweeting and blogging and Snapchatting all week, and even when it was happening, and they still did not, the Black Lives Matter organization, we talked yesterday, they're tearing that down like a dog, so why would that be a factor all of a sudden, unless you really don't know what the heck you're doing? And I'm gonna try to be good on this one, y'all, because I kind of got on the deep end. But in the end, when you look at community policing, the people don't trust the judicial system. That's another black eye to the judicial system.
Let me say this. The mayor has brought about some understanding that she want to do this thing from the perspective of how she can get rid of guns in the community. That has been done on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
The problem is that charity starts at home.
That's right.
I watch the TV just like you watch the TV, and I'm sitting there saying, how in the hell these little boys could have this types of ammunition and guns,
right,
and be as bracing as they are with it,
right, with
no mask on. Some of them disguise themselves,
right.
And the mayor said, "Well, we're gonna implement the ball and all." I'm not telling anybody in my church,
right,
to come out on Sunday morning or during the week and go patrol the neighborhood to see if you can find a murderer. That's not their job.
Correct.
That's not my job as a pastor.
No.
You understand?
No.
I'm concerned about the overall crime, but I pay tax dollars for that.
Right.
So
you know, you're doing something very good. Compare the situation in Minneapolis with Philando Castile and Philadelphia to the crime problem and the policing problem that we have here in the city of New Orleans. That's good. I wanted to do that.
one of the things you got in here is you have had always the problem of the department is not replacing these people that are retiring and leaving for other reasons, for pay scale.
Mm-hmm.
You're not putting the numbers back.
Right.
I think you might have a department of probably maybe 1,000 or maybe something so, when you should need about 1,500.
Right.
Now you tell me how you solve crime.
Right.
When you look at New Orleans East and see how it's Shepherd Highway, are these people own business and they have to deal with the crime, property, vandalism and everything, and it's dark out there.
Right.
The grass growing. I mean, you know, I can name a couple things.
Exactly.
And you know, you made it life out there for those people appear to have.
Right.
And you let them know the quality of their tax dollars is not being utilized in the appropriate manner. And here you come up with a situation where you're going to set out the community and you're going to bring all these Tulane Medical Center and all these to go in and do psychological. Who's going to sit in the chair?
Wow.
I'm not going to sit in that chair. You're not going to probe my children to ask them about no stupid stuff. When the white community got all these epidemic and drugs and suicide, get some of the information about how some of them are committing suicide with this opioid and stuff.
Right.
They don't put that out there.
Right. Right.
They don't show you the statistics on them dying.
Right.
But they'll show you the black on black crime and these young men's running because that's a focus.
Right.
Assassination for black men.
Right.
They ain't gonna show you the guys that buying the parts with these big old business and
so it's a stereotype, in other words.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but you know, people really didn't think that when you look at Minneapolis and down with
two different cities.
Exactly.
Black one and a white one.
Exactly.
And this is tearing the roof off it right now so you can see.
Right.
This is not something new in Minneapolis. It was a racist place from the beginning.
Right.
Blacks have always been isolated in a secluded area.
Right.
Now that they're coming out of the area because of this thing with Rodney King, now they want to love us.
Yeah.
Well, it's too late now.
Right.
You discriminated against us. Wouldn't allow us to expand. Now you want to come and say, now y'all come now, we gonna work with you. No, you should have worked with us from the beginning.
So you were talking about and I want to go back to that because I know many people are interested about the
I'm
thing.
sorry to get off.
No, you're doing good. What the mayor is operating on, what she wants to do. So there's another gun buyback.
Well, I don't know what the heck it is, but it's something to tap into the emotion of black folks and to use it as a means of saying, look, I was always there for you.
Right.
But since the pandemic, the black community has suffered more than anybody. That $300-something million you got, put it out there where folks that have these sororities, these organizations of the Indians and all that, help them get back to where they should be in the community.
So you're dealing with
the hospitality people.
So now you're dealing with socialism and classism.
Yeah. You can open up Bourbon Street, close the car down on Claiborne Avenue. Carmen Rufford was right.
Right.
I mean,
socialism and classism. Correct.
You put 40 policemen on the corridor to stop people from doing anything on Mardi Gras Day. Well, where was the support for the New Orleans East Department out there?
Right.
How many guys you had running around there? I mean, how you can't contain crime out there? But you could contain a gathering, but can't contain all of that out there in New Orleans? Well, come on, man, let's get off.
So it's priorities.
When you run a department, he's doing a good job, Sean.
Right.
But you can see the oversight he's got to deal with.
Right.
That's as simple as that.
Right. So what, if we was to have a situation, when we had the Black Lives Matter marches, Antifa was here and the anarchists, and I went out there. Remember I was telling you, I went out there and the police was on horseback. There were big white guys with bullhorns, hollering all kinds of things. And I watched the police. It was, because these were college students. These were people from all over the world,
right.
And they was not marching in concert with George Floyd. They were marching in concert
other agendas.
But the police handled that very well. You understand?
They did a good job.
They did a good job.
Even
job. When it came down, because I was out there when they decided to go on the bridge. I turned around.
I think his name was Roberts or whatever the commander was.
It was Roberts.
Roberts, I thought he did an excellent job. He showed the leadership and the professionalism, and he showed the restraint and the ability to allow the leverages to be did. But the biggest problem we got in the city, I don't know what kind of council we got over there. Where's the New Orleans council? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's bring it on.
Where's the New Orleans council?
You have Jefferson Parish. You better not bring that over here.
And mean it, and they stand up and they
You
fight.
got Dwayne Munch and West Wego meet you on the back end, and you got Gretna Police that'll meet you in the beginning. Yeah, and then you got NOPD,
Right.
4th District that's like a mile up off of General Meyer. I never understood that.
But this is the thing. You're fighting to stop the jail from being developed with mental capacity, but you come with a show, a program to do the very thing that you're stopping people from Maul and Gusman and from doing. Does that make any sense to you?
It doesn't.
All right.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So it's reinventing the wheel.
All right.
So if we was to have, and we had corrupt police here in New Orleans at one point.
In America.
Yeah. Well, I want to deal with here. But and I'm not going to go into it like I did last week, but the consent decree helped because they got some good police officers. I got classmates from as police officers. I don't want to dog the police out. That's because I have credentials through the police department. Sean Ferguson, I think, is doing about as much as he can do with what he has. If this all you give me to work with, and I got to save the world, and I got to sit here and really strategically plan with how I put this together. And I think that's what we're doing.
That would be a great department as long as it's set up under any mayor, because the mayor has the strength and the means, the wherewithal to suppress any leadership vision, and it has to be changed by the charter. New Orleans should be able in the next 5 or 6 years to come to a conclusion that we need to elect a superintendent instead of putting one under a mayor, because as long as they're under politics, it's gonna be what it is.
Right.
And that would be a
You remember Mitch Landrieu moved Surpass office from downtown to in City Hall. Remember that?
Well, he sat right on side of him.
Right. But and it's amazing you talking about the city homeroom charter, because really people don't realize that when you vote a mayor in this city, then that's his or her choice of police choice. You don't get a choice. Yeah, you don't get a choice.
Prestigious job.
Exactly.
And you have to show loyalty to the person that puts you there. So Sean has done a good job, but there's a limit to the things that he can do or say. I mean, he has to smile when he don't want to smile. He has to, laugh at a joke when it ain't funny.
Right.
He has to be in presence of people that he knows is totally against what he's trying to do.
Right.
But that's the politics, the profession he chose, and he understands that he has to fall.
Right.
They say, get in line. Huh?
Right. Somebody said the other day, I was reading it on Facebook, and the reason why we're having these conversations because there is a great cluster number of people that is, rather ignorant of how the judicial system across the country operate. There's talking about packing the court, where they're talking about adding additional seats to the U.S. Supreme Court, and even shortening some of they're talking about now not
That's an institution about to be destroyed.
Yeah.
When you do that, and the Democrats not doing it to help us, it's going to lose the respect, the years of institutional and the allotment that they were set up for, and the type of people they put on it. I mean, unfortunately, we only had, I think, 2 so far. We got a few others since that. But I'm against that.
Shortening, packing the court.
I mean, what is it going to do? I mean, the president, I don't understand who's blowing up him with this.
Well, it's not going to be, they're saying it's not going to be lifelong.
But the laws need to be enhanced, not the Supreme Court.
I would say that anyway.
It's the laws, legislatively. It's not, it has nothing to do with people sitting on the Supreme Court.
What you put in the book.
It's what's in the law.
Right.
They govern the law.
Right.
And if it's have a sway, they fall with the sway.
And the law is really, rhetorical. Here in the city of New Orleans, we don't get tickets for jaywalking. But if you cause an accident where a car cannot see and you're crossing in the mid-median, you'll get a jaywalking ticket. And so, you find out more about the law when you're on the other side of the law. So instead of attacking the person in the seat, because like what you and I do when we meet a judge, in case we meet a judge, we don't let the judge don't rule. We call the judge and get a meeting with the judge. Well, judge, let me see if we can talk about this.
Bring the facts.
We humanize. We did it with Leon Canizero. We did it with Frank Marullo. We did it. You have a great relationship with Mr. DeSalvo, and
James
Letton, and so on and so forth. But instead of, because see, if I'm put in, it's just like you putting a pastor in. The pastor is governed by the Bible. He's governed by the Word of God. But in many churches, he's governed by the deacon board.
If he allowed it.
Yeah. So if you want to cut his power, you change deacons, because this doesn't change.
Well, I bring the deacon back to the foundation of how they came into conception. The Bible says to the apostle, told him to seek, look out amongst himself. Then when they brought it back to the apostle, they said, look out, you choose.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna lay my right hand of learning on him, and I'm gonna defer him for the
That's right.
So ain't no deacon lay a hand on the pastor.
That's right.
So if a pastor sitting in the church, let the deacon run him.
Right.
He needs to be in that position.
Right.
Because I'll bring him to school with the Bible.
So in other words, the U.S. Supreme Court, court packing, you need to check what you're governed by. If you're governed by the law, change the laws that you're sending to the Supreme Court. Because Supreme Court
enhance the laws, put some teeth in the laws.
Yeah.
Don't make some exception. The biggest problem we have with the laws is that the laws is more lenient in favor of police officers. They're protected. They can get away. It is a norm.
Right.
And they use it all in the scheme of, well, this is the thing. Well, how we know if you got your foot on my neck
and looking into the camera,
and I'm begging you for bread. What is your intention?
A young man standing here fuming you, and you looking directly into the camera.
What part stupid I gotta stand up for?
Right.
I'm looking at you holding him down, the man gasping for bread, begging for bread. What part? It's like walking in a movie, they say fire. You're culpable for that.
Right.
He's culpable.
Hollering fire in a building. Yeah.
Right. No, we don't need to get to that.
Right. But no, that's good. And see, that's how people are educated, and they come to know. I tell these young guys around here, oh, Rev, I ain't worried about it because my lawyer, man, a lawyer's a slot machine. He
give you for what you're paying for. As simple as that.
That's that.
You that pay a little, get a little.
Where little is given, that's it. Where little is given.
Because OJ, much to be free today.
That's it. Where little is
given,
you
might think about OJ, he understood the American way.
You pay, with BB King, I'm paying the cost.
Be the boss.
To be the boss.
So, let's keep it real.
Yeah. It's a sad day in America because history does nothing but repeats itself. And as ministers of the gospel, it's apparent that we always trace everything that we do back to the Word of God. This is nothing but God speaking through Deuteronomy, talking to ancient.
I wouldn't say it's a sad day. It's a constant reminder to the African community of all of those folks from the ship that they got off to the time they hit American soil. They were treated and subjected as less than 1/3 of a person. That has never changed the perception. And the little perks that we done got because of Dr. King and others, the Republican has always tried to take that back. So they created laws. When we got the right to be slaves, the North said, you know what? We're going to come up with the Jim Crow stuff. You ain't going nowhere. And then they put stipends on them. You've been staying on my property. You only could pay me so much and you can get off my property. So the problem with us is that we sat around and wait till something happens. Then we want to react.
Exactly. And we want to walk around as if, these things doesn't exist, and it's just
what is
like.
The word? Being what? Proactive?
Proactive.
Prevent it from happening. I got to go to jail to get in the program. You understand?
A man had to die for 9 minutes. A young man with a thing on his head walking home,
eating candy,
eating a piece of candy, being confronted by another minority, lighter skin, but has been fueled by white supremacy. Life is taken. Too much martyrdom blood on the street.
Do you know each one of those incidents, the person called and alleged this? After it was the young man got killed by those two white men. Someone always called and said, well, you got this black person walking in the neighborhood with a hood on. And I don't know, but I think he's up to no good. And that's good enough for them.
That's good enough for them.
Now, let me go home and sit on my porch and call it 911 and say, I got a white man walking in my neighborhood. He's walking around. I think he's up to no good.
And the white police going to respond. Around here in this neighborhood, and we were talking the other day, I don't know who I was talking to, we were talking about the 911 system. In this city alone, you call the 911 system. It's
Call
like
Uber cab first.
yeah, then you'll get a response for you.
Call Uber
It's just like Rodney Dangerfield used to say. I called the suicide line. They put me on hold. You know, so you call the police. You're suspected. You know, I mean, the dial 911.
Let me give you an understanding of what's going on in the city. The city right now in New Orleans is so much debt. What is going to cost us for that Hard Rock thing falling down? Because some of the stuff going to come back on the city for those inspectors going out there passing. You see the other day one was right. But what I want to just say,
yeah,
all that's being shut up under the rug.
Shut up under the rug.
All right. Money is being used to build another convention center. She fought against that. The people, hospitality, business people, they getting that done still right now.
Yeah.
At the Memorial Convention Center. They wait to play her out, they're gonna get that done.
Right.
The zoo, a man making over what? Close to $500,000. Will ask the city, because of the pandemic, give him $3 million for what? And you got schools that don't have adequate toilet people, don't even have janitor. I mean, come on, brother. We got to wake up in the city.
And that's why it's apparent that we bring these kind of conversations back. You know, we
don't go to any meeting for school.
No.
And you won't wonder why when something happens at your school, you're not that.
Parental involvement.
Yeah, you're not parental.
You know, I was the parent involvement. I was parent involvement in my children's school. We get 2-3 parents. But if when the young lady used her feet, I knew it, and shoved the little boy to get up, you had 1,000 parents outside. And I have nothing against it. Erase the board. I thank God for them. Those are my friends. Erase the board. You had Parent Legion for Louisiana. Everybody outside. You know, now that was heinous. I'm not taking up for that teacher. But where your behind was for the meetings and the
Jimmy Gray's improving. If he can use the computer that they're giving him free.
When you take your children up and you enroll them in parochial school, the first thing they let you know, parent involvement is 40% of your child's average grade.
Let you know that. You call it supervision at home, huh?
Right. You go to the Catholic school, and we're good friends with Catholic leaders. 40% of your child's grade is parental involvement.
And it's there.
And you've got to be there. Meeting, catechism,
everything. Selling
candy, all whatever they're doing.
Participation is that.
They let you know that going in the door. So where are we missing it at? Everybody is getting it. And George Floyd, Trayvon Morton, Philando Castile, Michael Sterling, Michael Brown, Alton Sterling, what's his name? Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all these children are dying. And we're still not getting it. Now, here in New Orleans, let's bring it home. Carjackings. We have a DA who's letting everything out of jail. That can't be tied down. And I understand the anonymous jury. I understand all that. But I have to agree with Raphael Goeneche. There has to be a streamlined process. Everybody cannot be let out of jail. With these 3-time multi-bill felon murder convictions and so on. You know, the coronavirus came out, they were saying non-violent offenders. So you had drug situation, traffic situation. I don't know why somebody's sitting in jail nowadays for a traffic violation. That's corrupt police.
I wouldn't even send them to jail.
Right. But they would allow them to come home. But the violent offenders, you just can't let everybody out of the jail. And you've let people know, I don't care what you do. I don't care what your crime is, you will not serve time beyond the statute of being a juvenile. These children are out here on Lakeview, uptown, snatching people out of the cars, black and white. The young lady the other day, her and her husband was getting out of the car, and they saw somebody get in the car, and they running to get the child. 3 little bitty kids in the car seat. I mean,
well, Bishop, I'm going to say overall, I think the judges over there on Tulane and Broad, some of them are good judges. Some of them know the law and they fight hard for what they believe. When you're dealing with anyone that will go out and take 1 or 2 lives, there should never be any leniency to this Wallace person. If you can prove that he did it, and you know he did it out of robbery, breaking in homes, some things you have to just deal sternly with. There's no exception. But when you have a system set up constitutional, where everybody is innocent until proven guilty, I understand Mr. Williams, he want to utilize that resource and say, well, let's have the perception that there was some wrong did that.
Right.
Some evidence was there. But the bottom baseline fact is that there was a victim, there's a family without a loved one at the hands of this individual here.
Exactly.
Now I can see limited his time in jail, but to let him out completely,
right,
and put him back in a society,
right,
that he had showed no respect for from the beginning.
Correct.
And since he's been there, I'm looking at all of the write-up. You follow him in prison, see all the violations he had since he's been there. Showed no recourse of rehabilitation.
Correct.
So you rolling the dice with some of these guys.
Right.
You put them back in society.
Right.
But the rooster will come back home to crow.
And you've made it clear to the juvenile judges.
Is there such thing in Orleans Parish as, I mean, it's sad, the juvenile system, and I don't blame none of the judges, but I think they're just outnumbered with crime. They're out-resourced. They don't have the means and the equipment, and I don't think the pay is adequate for them. And I don't think the involvement of the community with the judicial system from the juvenile perspective is good enough. They don't have no outsourced reaching to the community or these schools or anything or churches. There's no involvement from the holistic approach of trying to meet the kids before they get there.
Right.
And these kids, then when they get there, you slap them on the hand and tell them go back out there with. We understand Junior got no problem. Junior need to be setting the name goal at 13 years old, robbing, killing, jacking cars, just took this young lady life. I have no sympathy wise whatsoever for putting him over there on 2-lane brawl. And Jefferson Parish will not play that.
Oh, you got.
I ain't gonna take. They don't play that.
St. Tammany, St. Charles.
We got a little black stuff in Orleans working still, but we are the victim all the time.
Right. With the chicken and come home to roost for us on so many levels. Well, today's show was really about to get people, educated and get their.
One more topic, and I hope we can interview that. We're looking at this. It's a very important race that's going on between 2 candidates and
the congressional race.
And the congressional race. And I don't think anyone of anyone since been in that seat has done a great job as Bill Jefferson. In spite of all of his flaws and mistakes, he did bring this city up to a level and brought stuff back to the city. This election is very important, but I will tell you the choice that I would make would not only be then what I could prove, not what I hear, but what I can prove. And when you look at the comparison of what one did and one saying,
right,
it doesn't measure up. You miss a lot of votes. You're asking for raises, and that you're not,
Then wanted to raise your own salary.
Well, of course, but then another thing, explain to the people as much as you can explain about your opponent background and who's he associated with, which is a consensus builder. He's a guy that's open to party, reach across the aisle. I applaud him for that. But explain to these teachers, madam, how that they had to leave this state, how they lost their pension, homes and everything. Let's get to that point and give me a basic understanding on why you went against that. And that's the system we got in the city of New Orleans, the school system.
The school system.
Inadequate,
Right.
Unfunded,
right,
riveted with crime. You got to put.
The basis of it was that it was Bobby Jindal. And it was Bobby Jindal and it was Mitch Landrieu because it's Leslie Rothschild Jacobs.
Well, we know Miss Jacobs.
Leslie Jacobs, when you talk about Leslie Jacobs, then you have to bring up the Bessie board. And
you're more fluent in the school.
Yeah, the deal with the Bessie board and Leslie Jacobs and Mitch Landrieu with him wanting to be mayor. And then after Katrina, it gave the Bessie board.
But he got away with a lot of.
Oh, yes, he did.
Dirt doing black folks and black folks.
Yes, he did. And black people, St. Mark and St. Mitch.
Yeah.
Let me not get started on St. Mark and St. Mitch. Lord have mercy.
Water board thing. Let me go that way. And we still got this problem today.
Still got it today.
I can't turn it to the madam there.
Right.
I give her points on that. She has nothing to do with the water condition because she inherited that. She's right.
Same mark and same
Mitch. With disagree
right.
But I give her applause.
This particular candidate that you're talking about, Karen, and I sat down with both of them. I sat down with Karen. I sat down with Troy. The Carter family I've known, but we all come out of Greater St. Stephen, so I've known them. They've known me coming up. Bill Jefferson, Judge Bernadine Johnson, who's retired now, Judge Rachel Johnson's mom. But it's a pay-to-play system. They sold the school board to the elite whites. Then Donald Trump put Betsy DeVos in.
A billionaire.
Yeah. And Betsy DeVos and Leslie Rothschild Jacobs, mom and dad and family eat dinner and breakfast, play golf all day.
Right.
So, our children been, but see, I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this. They've been sold out. But see, when the black parents woke up and realized what was happening, it was too late. Because
you know why? They never was involved, didn't know the importance of what they had. Mm-hmm. And when you don't know, you got treasure in your hand, it's easy for somebody to take.
We laughed at Sandra 18-wheeler Hester, but Sandra kept it out there.
Because you know what? It's the same thing Jefferson Parish. Mm-hmm. Cedric Floyd was one of the best you could have on the school board. Mm-hmm. You see recently that this thing with this little boy, 4-year-old boy, that they have this teacher that's looking on the virtue. City paying attention to him. Mm-hmm. She's looking around in the house to see what she can see. Because that was a white person. Mm-hmm. And that was a Negro. Mm-hmm. And she made it her business to see what these women see. And then, what really got me is that we just spent $160,000 defending something that we already know wrong, mm-hmm. that now we didn't come to the conclusion, we got an out-of-court settlement. Mm-hmm. So somebody ought to come out of office for that. But black folks,
by the time we get on something, it's too late. And, like I said all the time, and I know people are going to view this, I thank God for the work that Dr. Ashanta Wyatt tried to do, the work that Erase the Board have tried to do, Alicia Plummer, many of my friends. But the school system had already been sold. When we were second lining with Mitch
plan was fixed in Baton Rouge right after Katrina. They had
the road home, the Louisiana
recovery authority. The city of African American. They put black folks on buses and sent them as far as Nebraska. Yeah. Now I don't know anybody in Nebraska. Do you?
No. I met one person, one lifetime.
So that show you how much they were trying to get us out of the city. Mm-hmm. And I understood what I would say, okay, when you come back to the car, pull your pants up, but your pimp card and all that. Remember the phrase he had. Yeah. But the problem is that the city and the black community was robbed of all of the respect, and Kathleen Blanco today.
Well, if you look at the Louisiana Recovery Authority, they had all those branches. You had the judicial piece, because the LeJays was running it. LeJays, Norman Francis, another Saint Norman. Yeah. All these black people that y'all patronize and sold you down the drain.
Andy Copper took over
with Andy Copper.
I mean, I can name a bunch.
Yeah, all of them was on that, and they had several boards. They had several.
I went up there to Lafayette when they set up that thing by the university. Yeah, I was sitting there. Mm-hmm. Mr. Gowan, the man that always fought about that. A couple of other people. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that the way they peel us off, they give us something. Mm-hmm.
And you had my friend at the time, Cheryl Gray, who was a senator. Bill Jefferson was leaving in trouble, so it was much.
Well, they made sure that it was a Nancy Pelosi thing. That's why I'm not too much of a big person of Nancy Pelosi. They specifically targeted Bill Jefferson because Bill Jefferson had the means of being the first black man to be able the most powerful seat in Washington, the Ways and Means Committee. They sabotaged, and then her and Steny Hoyer stepped up and became the prime people. But
pay to play,
it's politics.
It's politics,
and you fill a hole up with what?
With crap.
All right, with crap.
I gotta try to keep this one clean. I cut up on the last one, but we want to thank you again for joining us, Reverend Wallace.
Thank you.
And I on Breaking Bread. We are rebooting this. This used to play on
WSHO.
WSHO. With Jeff Coulier, our dear friend, and we have
opportunity privilege.
We have reached out to him in the reboot. We had several guests on: D.A. Leon Canizero, Judge Monique Barriel, many people that came on. My good friend, Dr. Janae Landon, co-hosted with me a couple of times. Mr. Kendall Francis from WDSU came on.
What's the other young black man that's over there, the initiative? The young man came and helped you one night.
That was him, Kendall.
Okay,
Kendall
yeah.
Francis.
Yeah,
we had a great time when we were doing it. So we thought about, since technology is heightened so much and everybody's streaming and vocal, we thought about bringing it back. And what we're going to do, we're going to do one more on this fashion, and then we're going to see which way it goes, and then we'll come back with a decision if it's something that we want to do. So you've joined us today live, breaking bread with Reverend Wallace and Bishop Sutton.
And what the theme was? A voice.
A voice crying in the wilderness. But we realize that our city is a wilderness crying for a voice.
That's right.
All right. God bless you. Thank you.